In a previous video, we've been talking about neuroplasticity and why it's so important to consider neuroplasticity when we are learning as adults, and how neuroplasticity can and should be considered when it comes to changing our habits, because so many of our day-to-day behaviors are habits, are habitual. They're really embedded, and when we're learning new information as adults, these habits are often getting in the way of us getting these habits, these new habits and these new ways of being and these new learnings to really stick. So I wanted to just expand on neuroplasticity a little bit and to explain a little bit more why it's so important to think about this when it comes to learning as adults in adulthood. And you see, so when we are learning new information, the brain cells are actually, the neurons are communicating with each other. So the brain acts as a dense network of fiber pathways, and there's, from all the research that's been done to date, we reckon that there's just over 80 billion neurons. And learning new information and memory formation is made by the strengthening and weakening of the connections among the brain cells, among the neurons. And researchers find that when two neurons frequently interact, that they form a bond that allows them to transmit information more easily and accurately between each other. And this leads to more complete memories and easier recall. And so, and the opposite is also true. If these neurons aren't interacting with each other, then the memories don't stick, and therefore we can't recall the information. And there's a number of ingredients that are necessary, a number of things for us to think about as adult learners to enable these neurons to fire and communicate frequently so that the memories embed and that we can recall that information. And as we go through more videos, I'm going to talk more about the particular techniques that we need to think about. But just on a very high level, what we need to think about is how, when we go to a workshop, when we go to a learning program or listen to a podcast or read a book, and there's information that we want to recall and go and use in life and in work, you need to think about, how am I going to take this information and repeat this information? How am I going to find opportunities to try this information, try out utilizing this information? Because if we don't repeat the information, then the strengthening between those neurons does not occur. And that's why we forget about it so easily. And 6 months later, after going to a workshop, we've taken all these notes. 6 months later, we find that information and we think, oh, forgot about that. Yeah, that would have been really useful. Maybe I could have changed how I was doing things a long time ago. But because we haven't created that repetition at the time, for the next few days, few weeks, few months after the learning event, that's why it hasn't embedded. So think more about your neuroplasticity in your brain. How can you get all those fiber pathways interacting? How can you take that information and repeat that information in different types of formats, and actually put it into practice so that it embeds long term? And if you'd like to learn more about this, we have published a series of books called the Maximizing Brain Potential series. The first book is called Our Learning Brain, and Our Learning Brain talks a lot more about what I've just been talking about, so neuroplasticity and habit change. And for any of you who haven't met me, I'm Celine Mullins from Adaptastraining. You can get the book on successstore.com, on Amazon, or on our website adaptastraining.com. Adaptastraining.com. Talk to you soon.